and welcome to Date with the Divas. Thank you very much for clicking on our video. And since we know you will enjoy it, you might as well just go ahead and click on that subscribe button if you haven't already. And while you're at it, like this video, and you might as well hit on that notification bell so you never miss on our newest videos. Come on, Entourage, grab your beverage of choice, and let's begin the shenanigans. Ms. Marnita, you want to
Wait a
help us
minute.
out?
Are you dry January, Marnita? Because that don't look
I'm
like a
just dry
drink.
tonight. I couldn't
Okay.
decide. I was like,
Sorry.
you know, I was like, I don't want a
We
margarita.
should not be
I want
shaming.
something.
I'm I'm
Say
not
what?
if you're
Say
doing
what?
it
We
as
should
dry
not be
January.
shaming.
I am not
And we
shaming.
know
What you got?
your January too.
Tea.
Okay.
Look, I'm strawberry Baileys.
Mm.
All
Yeah,
right.
me
Yes,
some
yes.
turmeric ginger tea.
Okay. I'm ibuprofen. I had a headache earlier, so I was just like, ibuprofen and water. But hopefully, I will get a little high off these topics.
All right.
So let's dig into it. I'm your host for the evening. First, we are going to talk about Jess Hilarious. Jess Hilarious is a comedian, she's an actress, and most recently, she has been filling in on the iHeartRadio show, The Breakfast Club, which is a morning show that's kind of evolved into a podcast. It's on iHeartRadio, so it's available nationwide. So that show usually has three hosts, Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, and there was a host named Angela Yee, but she recently left the podcast. And so the show has been trying out different co-hosts as the third to replace Angela Yee. And Jess Hilarious has had the longest run. So there has been a little bit of confusion though, because I think around December 28th, Jess Hilarious went to social media to announce that she had been permanently hired as a third. Around January 11th, the Word on Lipstick Alley, which is kind of a blog site, was that DJ Envy and Charlamagne was like, nah, she didn't get hired. And then there were some YouTube videos saying that she got fired. Now, I talked about YouTube videos last week, how people are using those for clickbait. So I came across those YouTube videos. I didn't watch them. I don't always find those a good source of, a good source of information, unless it's somebody who's really citing their sources and know what they're talking about. So that happened, just to give you a little backstory on that. So recently, DJ Envy and Charlamagne have been doing the show by themselves. And they did a show where they were talking about the singer-songwriter SZA. And they were saying, SZA doesn't really get her props like she should. Like, she doesn't get the respect that she deserves. They said, they went on to make a comparison of SZA to Mary J. Blige. They said that SZA is this generation's Mary J. Blige. Jess Hilarious saw this and she responded on social media and said, these dudes are trash. Why are they comparing SZA to Mary J. Blige? Just let her be her. And actually, let me read her quote. These bleep are trash. Envy, shut up. I know artists be pissed when old heads do this because now everybody negative comparing SZA to Mary J, and it ain't even her fault. She has her own identity. So, divas, there's a couple of different ways that we can take this conversation. First, let's talk about the sentiment of what Jess said, as far as you comparing one artist to another, and people might take that negatively. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a double-edged, because I mean they've been doing this for forever, comparing artists against other artists, or and not against, but the likeness or how their career is going compared to another artist. So sometimes it can be a form of flattery or something
And
like
I
that.
think that's how he meant it,
I
Yeah.
but
agree.
I could see where it could go wrong.
Yes, yes, yes. Because I did see some comments where people were like, "What? Does Mary know this?" Like that.
Right.
But I mean, I could see both sides of it. But I think he just meant it as, I don't think he meant anything bad about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
He
he
was
just meant the
attempting to give
level.
her props.
I think he just meant the level of her success, her creativity, her talent, that she's one that people don't expect a lot from, and then she just hits it up, she hits the mark. Her songs are fab. And so I think he just wanted to how do you say, label her status as not being an amateur. She's a professional.
I agree, but then at the same token, just like Joe said, there's a way that you can big somebody up without kind of like taking somebody because, Mary being my homegirl.
Yeah,
Hey,
she
that's
does.
right. That's right.
You had to get
Like
your opinion
this.
on this.
That's right. You know about the boot deal, right?
Being the
Those
fact
boots are
that
gonna be
you have to think
bad.
about everything that Mary has gone through. And it's like, when you're going to do that, then you're going to make me take out my receipts and you're going to make me check, and be like, nah, you haven't done
And
that
it becomes
yet.
about
You
what
haven't done-"
SZA hasn't done
Exactly.
compared to what Mary has, instead of just
Exactly. And
SZA
I
is
don't
a
want to
great
do
artist
that
in her own
because
right.
SZA is a superstar in her own right. And so at
Absolutely.
the same token, you got to think about how you compare it and how you can make someone great by not taking away somebody else's shine either. So I agree that SZA's, but you know what? Mary's my girl, and I don't think SZA's there yet. I don't think she's there yet.
But Mary's been around for a long time though, so
Right.
give SZA some time. But I agree, kind of both Lava and Joe. What you're saying is that it could have been said differently. It was more of a positive spin on like where she's going, but not trying to compare like what she's done.
Right.
Like she's I think there's other, like she's a rising star, her career is mirroring, some of the greats.
Look
And
at
I
you,
can't,
mirroring.
I'm using my synonyms, like her, her star is mirroring, other, trajectory of other, artists, and we could see great things from her, but you don't have to put someone's name ain't nobody's name next to it.
Right. I totally agree. And I feel like a lot of people do it. I mean, heck, we was just having a conversation before we went on, and Trace, you was comparing to
Football players.
was it football or basketball?
Basketball.
Football.
Yeah, we were talking about football first, but then you went into basketball. I don't know.
Yeah, I compared, for those listening, Patrick Mahomes to Kobe Bryant, and Miss Michelle vehemently disagreed.
Yes, I do.
And the rest of us didn't know enough to
We was just like
contribute to the
crickets.
conversation.
Michelle put some bass in her voice.
I missed
That's
that
how wrong
conversation,
Artrice
but
was, huh?
I'm
Then
assuming,
Michelle spoke
yeah,
up.
yeah, Michelle
Yes.
See
spoke
what you
up.
missed, Alicia.
Right,
What's up,
right.
Alicia?
Hey, y'all.
So what y'all think about the other part that we could talk about with this is Jess Hilarious going on to call these dudes trash on the internet when they are, I mean, I guess they are not her coworkers anymore. They were
She
kind
bit
of
her nose to spite her
coworkers.
face.
You
Did
sound a
something
little bit
happen
bitter.
that we don't know about? Why is she mad?
Thank you. You sound bitter about something. And you could have
Right.
taken the high road and you could have made something great about it. You could have made a great conversation about, like, I see where they're coming from, but let's explore that topic. But no,
Yeah.
and you kind of get a little upset. She's probably a little upset because she wasn't offered the job. But if no one told you anything, like, and this is just according from what we know, maybe somebody did, or she, you didn't have anything in writing or something like this, then you gotta keep it on the L for a second, and then until it pops out. You know,
Right.
and even sometimes too, we've seen this on television where, you think you're getting this, and you're ready, and they're gonna say, you think they're
Dude,
gonna
it
say,
happens in real life.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
You
say.
leave an interview and they be like, "Oh my God, you're gonna get that, Bobby."
Right.
And then all of a sudden you be like, what
Dream
happened?
got the
Right.
job.
Yeah, exactly.
So until you're
Exactly.
in the
Those
seat,
papers.
then yeah, you gotta keep mums, because now you got them, Charlamagne, trying to save face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he probably, you have to think of, he has people he reports to as well, and they could have been like, wait, hold up, keep your mouth shut or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she was a little salty.
We've been seeing a lot of this lately. I don't want to dredge up the Taraji stuff, but you got to be careful about that talking trash, because it's a small world, especially
Very
within your
small.
own little industry, and you end up burning bridges.
But wait a minute, doesn't Charlamagne and what's his face build their
DJ
career on
Envy.
talking trash about everybody? So like, what makes them exempt from critiques?
And that's a good point. I don't personally watch the show or listen. I've only seen clips, but I know that there is more of that kind of, their rapport is kind of like a
No,
little
they talk about
A little
everybody.
more
They have.
spicy.
I
so
don't know
yeah, a little more spicy. I like that.
about people who are in position to help them, though.
Right.
I don't
So
think they're making a business out of doing that.
right.
They have
right.
what jackass of the day. They make fun of
Of
everybody.
the day.
And I think, and Alicia, I think you might have missed the beginning part. I think it was the point that she thought she had the job, and she went out on social media saying she was going to be the third host. And then there was a post from them saying, no, you weren't hired. And so I think then she's talking smack now.
Yeah, but just because it's not working out today doesn't mean
Right.
it work
Exactly. That they ain't
Like,
gonna
that's
call
why
you
I wouldn't
next
have done
day,
that.
or
Yeah.
would have. And now you got to
Shouldn't
sit
he be in
across from
jail?
them. You call me trash.
Thank you.
Say
Because
what
you don't know, just like Joe said, you don't know what could happen. Maybe they just put a pause on it for a second because of funding or because of whatever.
Yeah.
They had to put a
And
pin in it. Now you just messed up that pin.
now you just messed it up totally.
Right. Right. Don't burn your bridges, people.
And sometimes you can get more money on contract than you do with a contract. Off contract
Right.
than you can
Right.
with
Like being a freelancer. Yes.
But do you think that a part of it is, just how social media is and how it's sort of conditioned people not to filter themselves? They just kind of spit everything out without
That's true.
thinking.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
Hey, Chris Brown it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Twitter fingers get you in trouble.
They're
You
very
gotta
reactive
think about
wrong with
instead of,
society
drafts and
today.
think about it.
they need
I
to
think that's
take
the problem.
pauses.
Yeah, I think that's
Need
the
to take
problem with
pauses
society today.
instead
We
of
need to
just
take
being so
pause.
reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for okay.
Right. Should I really say, let me edit this? Let's take trash out.
Let me
Maybe not
type
call
it
them old
and not
head.
send, right? And then like
Yeah.
relook at it 5 minutes later and be like, I still feel this way. Okay.
Right. Because she had a good point.
Yeah,
But
she had a very good point.
yeah,
But it was lost in the sauce
it was
because
lost.
And
in
it
the
was
sauce.
not executed
kind of
very
like
well.
his,
Exactly.
But
Blige.
hey, maybe
Just
she wanted to
like
get the headlines, because every headline now, the only reason I know about it is because of what she said. It's like Jess Hilarious calls them trash, and you got to click on it and see what's up.
Right.
So maybe that was her strategy. Maybe she was like, "Oh, I'm fired. Let me make sure I stay in them headlines." Entourage, drop down in the comments, get in the conversation. Let us know what you think. What do you think about? Do you think the SZA is the new Mary J. Blige? What do you think about the whole Jess Hilarious? Do you have the inside track? Do you know Jess? Do you know Charlamagne? Do you know DJ Envy? Let us know what's going on. All right,
Nice
that was a
chocolate
quick
candy,
one.
though.
We go on to the next one. Oh, before we go on to the next one, why not give you my sources for that story? My sources were Vibe.com, The Shade Room, and TVShowstars.com. All right, y'all. The next story, it kind of stems from an old story, but I just wanted to have a conversation about relationships and entering into marriage and our long-term relationships, things like that. So it's been in the news that Sofia Vergara has revealed why she and actor Joe Manganiello divorced. They divorced about 5 months ago, so that's old news. But in a recent interview with El PS magazine, Sofia revealed the reason why. She is 51. Joe is 47. He wanted kids. She didn't. She's already got an adult son, and she's going through menopause. She didn't want to be what she called an old mom. She said, my son is grown. When he's ready to have a baby, he can bring the baby to me, and then he can come pick the baby up later. That's how it should go. I don't want to be an old mom. So last night in our group chat, someone sent this headline, and Antrese, I think it was you who responded. Didn't they talk about this before they got married? So, Divas, I want to have a conversation. Let the entourage know, those of them that may be thinking about getting married, some of us on the panel that aren't married yet. What are some of the conversations that you think you should have before you enter into a marriage?
Whether you're going to have children or not?
Kids?
Right.
Yes, that's a big one.
Are you
What is your
open to
family's
having
mental
kids?
health? Is it genetic?
You know what though? His first clue should have been when she didn't want to have her embryos from her other fiance. Because she still had those embryos just lying around still. Remember they had a whole court lawsuit with her fiance before him?
Oh, okay.
And
I
she
forgot
won a
about that
lawsuit
one.
to where that ex-fiance can't bring those embryos to life or whatever like that without her consent. So I feel like she knew way before she got into that marriage that she was over having kids. But, you know,
The conversation might have been had, but when you caught in the sauce and you all in it, you thinking I could change her opinion.
Exactly.
Right.
Give us some of this good stuff.
It's good, but it's not that good.
Thank you.
Every child takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of effort that, you know,
and a lot of toll on the woman, not necessarily.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm surprised they didn't talk about it. And I'm surprised that, you know, it wasn't ongoing. And well, maybe it was.
Maybe it was.
He
And
was
then she
ready.
finally was like, hey, let me stop playing.
But I mean, it's possible he could have really thought he didn't want children. I mean, because people change, and I'm not saying that he could have thought he didn't want children. He was okay with it, and then the conversation changed, and then he asked her, and she's like, "No, I'm good," and he couldn't. You know, they could have had that agreement, and then, you know, potentially she was saying no, and then it's like, what do you do if I still want children and you don't? Then the next option, unfortunately, they can't be together.
Yeah,
it's better
and
than,
that sucks because I thought that they were a very nice, very well groomed together couple, and I thought that I was loving them together, and they weren't in the media, you know, but when they were together, they looked really nice, and I was just like, oh, okay, you know, I thought they looked really good together, and I thought they were going to be, you know, but
and the test of time.
I mean, it could break relationships. I dated somebody in my previous relationship, and he said he was open to having kids. After a few months, I mean, yes, we didn't get married, but he was like, you know what? I really don't want them. I have them. I want you to myself. And so I'm like, well, I know I want the option, so I chose not to. But could you imagine if we were serious a couple years down the road and he's, you know, decide I'm ready to have kids, and he's saying, you know, I really don't want that. I mean, what would I do? I probably would have been in her shoes and been like, or his shoes, not knowing who instigated the divorce, and decided I'm getting a divorce because I want that option. And now you've taken that away from me.
Right.
I will say I've known people that in both, you know, aspects where girl had kids, she didn't want any kids, dude said that he was fine and her kids were his kids, and then like 3 years down the line, she already had 3 kids, he had no kids, and then he changed his mind one day and he was like, I want my kids with you, and she was like, oh, all right. She ends up getting pregnant, and she ends up getting pregnant with triplets.
Oh, Lord.
So now she got 6
story.
Kids. Yeah. So that was one story. And then the next one is like, you know, I have a friend where it was like, she knew she was good, but he was like so focused. Meanwhile, he had a kid, and he was so focused on like having a kid, but couldn't see past that. Like, you so focused on having another kid because you got some deeply rooted issues about raising your kid or whatever. And, you know, with you, but you don't think about the fact that you could be missing out on a relationship with somebody because you're focused on one thing, and you can't negate the person for saying, okay, well, you're not my person, so I'm going to keep it moving. But I think also when it comes to men, the difference is men have a longer term of debating on how long they want to wait to have kids.
Yeah.
There's not that. Women don't have that life expectancy.
And we've had
So
that
they're-
conversation.
Right. We don't have
So-
that life expectancy, but you could also, you know, freeze your eggs. Or I mean,
but
there's
most people
other
ain't got
ways.
that money.
For sure.
Medical insurance may pay for it. I'm just saying there's other options. I mean, that you could potentially adopt. I'm not saying, you know, I'm
Yeah.
just saying there's other options. I mean, if you truly want kids.
Well,
too, as well.
besides, before we run time, besides the kids thing, because I agree, that's a big thing. But what are some other things that y'all feel like really need to be discussed before you go into a marriage?
Medical history. Hello.
That was at the tip of your tongue, Joe. It sounded like to me. Like
She said it already. We was just all talking.
Okay.
Are we splitting the bills? Is it 50-50?
Finances.
Yeah,
Finances
is a
and
good
medical
one.
history.
Finances.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Okay,
I know
Michelle.
that, no, I'm just saying, I know that before you get married in a Catholic church, one of the requirements is to participate in what is called an engagement encounter, where they send you away, the couple, and to like answer these questions, because they find that couples do have a hard time asking each other the important questions, which is about children and, you know, like whether you're
harder
going to have
questions.
them. Yes, finances. And the other topic is sex. Like what is your definition of a you know,
Expectation of
healthy
Of a healthy
sexual
sex life.
relationship
7
relationship?
days a week, 4 times a day.
Well, if you're getting married, you should already know the answer to that question.
I'm sorry?
If you're getting married, I would think you'd already know the answer to that question.
Sometimes
Some
Not
people
when
don't.
you're a
Nope.
devout Catholic.
Without Catholics, get it in just like everybody.
I know, but I'm just
But not
saying.
everybody's busting it wide open before marriage now on trees.
and also when you're dating, sometimes you do it more often, maybe for the dating, but when you get married, what is your expectation as life changes, kids,
Right,
relationships,
right.
things,
Because you're gonna be tired
your
and
sex
busy
drive
on
goes
trees. You got
down.
things to do.
I
Yeah,
like
I mean,
chocolate,
come
but I
on.
don't want to
We-
eat chocolate every day.
Listen, women, people are so desperate to get married. A lot of times I think people are not being completely honest in these conversations, and they're saying what they think the other
Think
person
that they're not being transparent at all.
Yeah, and they're thinking I can change somebody's mind, or this isn't working now, but we can work on it. I just think that, yeah, you can have these conversations, but people
But
can
it's
flip that
still
You're
good to
welcome,
have the
Blige.
conversation, though.
like Sophia's man. That's not why they got to. I don't believe that's why they got divorced. Because there's
Okay.
no way a 40-year-old man is marrying a 45-year-old woman with having kids as a deal breaker. You just can't go into a marriage with a 45-year-old woman with
Who has a
kids
grown child.
Right.
That's true.
being your deal breaker.
Oh, okay. I see. So she probably trying to cover something up.
Or else he
My
wasn't.
thing is why? Just leave it alone. Ain't nobody asked you why.
That part.
They
So
said
true.
irreconcilable differences. Boom. Finish.
I was wondering when I kept seeing the headline the other day. I was like, they've been divorced. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but he's also been seen with other
With
women,
another
right?
They're
woman.
both
So,
dating other people.
Exactly.
but he's 47. I mean, I think part of it maybe is he's having a midlife crisis. Maybe like like now, oh, I feel my mortality, so I have to, have a legacy. So pop out a kid so I can, live on through that child.
I think they was both hot in Hollywood for a while. They was the hot person to look at. She's the hot female. He's the hot guy. Okay, let's get married. And once that wore off,
The
it
honeymoon
was like,
was over.
it was fun.
In on things just so we can, close the deal. Everybody's a little guilty of that.
That's true.
Sometimes we compromise. We shouldn't.
And then,
Well, like we've mentioned this before, you know, a lot of times in like what Antris is saying, you know, like during the dating, you know, things are happening. So you're getting some ideas, you know, be it if it is the sex life, be it is if it's children or whatever, you know, things are coming out during the relationship and it's what we want to see, what we don't want to see, right?
And you got to pay attention to it. And you got to be honest with
we don't
yourself.
know what we don't want to show, right?
Yeah. You got to be honest with yourself. If you know you don't want kids.
Babies, you know, somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
That's a red flag. Somewhere down the line. That wasn't, I mean, like, you should be like, hey, that somewhere down the line,
Right.
it should be yes.
Like, he didn't hear down the line. He just heard, yeah, I want to have babies.
But didn't hear grandbabies.
Right.
She was like, yeah, babies can come over and then leave.
Well, isn't
So I
that
have a question.
Yes.
So in that type of situation, you know, with Sophia and Jill, let's say if that was, you know, the real case or whatever, if you were in her shoes, would you give your man permission then to have a child with somebody else to help ease his? And then you guys can stay together?
No.
Not up
I
in
don't know
here.
how that would work. Like, what do you?
Yeah, how did that
Do
work?
you leave on the
I mean-
weekends to take care of your kid? Like, what?
Well, no, I
Are
mean,
you talking
even
about like
let's just say
surrogacy?
Surrogacy. That's, I'm like,
Either
what was
surrogacy
it?
or just an arrangement with a
Well, no,
person
she
like,
does
hey, I
not
just
wanna be a
my baby
mother.
She
mama.
doesn't want to raise
Want to
a
be
child.
a
Okay.
kid.
She
That's
wants
a
the baby
difference.
to. She wants to babysit her grandchild and then
And go.
She does not want the child. She does not want to be
Right.
a mom.
Oh,
Because in
And
theory,
any
she has
sense.
her eggs frozen. She could, I
Yeah.
mean, even if she couldn't have them, she could have a child
Right.
with him. She
Yeah.
doesn't want kids, period. And
And she had her child very young. She was like 19 when she
19.
had her
19.
child. And you,
Yeah.
after you know, you're 19 and you have a child and you go through all those stages, there's a time that you just want to take care of nobody but yourself. You just want
Yeah.
it to be all about yourself. She's at that, she's glamorous, she's good looking. She wants to go out and have a good time. Who wants to babysit a child after that point?
Right. She want
How
to do
old
her
is she
acting
right now?
jobs. She ain't trying to have a hip
Is
spread.
she 51?
51, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the time, even if she, let's just say she didn't have the baby, had a surrogate. Let's just say child's born when she's 52. I mean, you add 18 years and it's longer than 18 years. She's 70 something. She's like, I don't want to be look like grandma,
Right.
but at my child's event.
Right.
And not faulting anybody who chooses to have kids later in life. Personal
Right.
choice,
And
just
she
saying.
said that too.
That's
She was
her
like, it's
preference.
fine for anybody who wants that, you know, but she was like, that's not what I want. So, you know, I just want to have a general conversation with you divas about things that you feel you should talk about. But Antris, you brought up a good point. People be playing. People be not really seeing what they mean. So Entourage, say what you mean what you say. Drop down in the comments and let us know what are some of the things that you feel like everyone should talk about before they enter a marriage or long-term commitment relationship. All right, y'all. It was a short one. It was a quick one. Before we go, let me give you my sources for that last story. It might just be a source. YahooEntertainment.com and BusinessInsider.com. All right. That's it for tonight. Entourage, we out. I'm out with my water.
Bye.